Hey guys, welcome back to the Black Wendy channel, the Black Wendy here. Thank you so much for joining me for our second episode in this segment. I'm really excited about my guest today, you guys. This is a person who wears so many hats, okay? I don't even know how to introduce her. She's an entrepreneur, she's a creative extraordinaire, and she's a trailblazer in the YouTube space. So I hope that you're in bed, all cozied up, because today I'm in bed with Moyin. I should really have music for this part. Like I said in the intro, you are someone that does so many different things, and you do them so amazingly well. And I can tell that like excellence is definitely part of your, like one of the things that you do not compromise on when it comes to your creativity. How did you get into it? Like, how did you get into the industry? What made you feel like this is something that you want to do? And actually tell us about what you do, because I know that, you know, you have a production company. I don't even want to answer this question for you. So tell us what you do and how did you get into it?
Okay, so I'm a YouTuber, and I used that, I would say, to talk about something that I enjoy, which is entertainment, but also then used that to create my production company. So my YouTube channel is called the A1. So yeah, please go subscribe.
Click the subscribe button.
And now the production company is called the A1 Productions. So those who've known me for a long time know that I've had so many businesses. I've done so many names. I remember when I created the Facebook page for the A1. And you know, you invite friends to like your stuff. I was like, these poor people have just been liking like all the most another one. They must really be like Moyin, like, come now. What?
They'll probably
what
like they'll be the A2 next
year.
year.
You know,
next year
like
we'll
something else.
Yeah.
This is actually my third YouTube channel. That I know some people know that, some people don't.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's my third one. I did my first one, I think, was in 2009 or 2010, and it actually did really well. That I had to stop it.
I need those problems.
Yeah. Well, I was at that time I was shooting fashion content, African fashion, when African fashion wasn't what it is now. And I'll shoot, it wasn't personality driven, or you wouldn't see me really, well, sometimes. And I'll just shoot like fashion shows and fashion events, and then just put them online. And I started getting invited to like Nigeria, which is great because that's my home country, and I actually got to go. But to Kenya, to Ghana, and to all these amazing other countries that were really starting to celebrate African fashion. Yeah. But then, it started becoming a little bit too much. Also because I'm one of those people who I don't do well in in-betweens. I'm all in or all out. So I was like, okay, cool, let's focus on school. And then I started another YouTube channel when I was working for an agency because I needed something creative, and then the A1. So it's been a while. And
how's the journey been, like with the A1 now?
With the A1,
you've had that one. I feel like that's become the main.
So by the time so what happened was that I was working for a digital agency, and my whole family, because I'm originally from Nigeria, my whole family decided that we're gonna apply for our South African ID because we've lived here long enough. We are eligible and all of that. And so we sent in all our papers, and then it just seemed like Home Affairs just couldn't find any of my paperwork. Ooh. Like the rest of my family was out here getting their IDs, living their best lives.
Home Affairs. Whose paperwork can they find?
A part of me also low key. Every time I tell this story, I always have to check myself because I'm like, hey, don't want them to start deporting you. Now, they're like, hey, this one keeps talking about us in this light. But essentially we didn't know what was wrong, and anytime we'd call, they just couldn't find out my stuff. And my parents they got their paper with their South African IDs, my sisters got theirs, everybody else got theirs but me. And then it kind of started interfering with my work permit at this point, and so then I couldn't work, and there was this whole thing. So I was like, you know what, I wasn't in the best space. And I needed something to keep me busy. I needed something to just put my attention to. I actually started a blog first.
Wow.
Yeah, called Mosaic. And I realized very quickly I don't like writing at all. now I have to be consistently writing. But the part I did enjoy was creating the visuals, and I realized that I'm good at creating good, beautiful visuals. So much so that other people actually started asking me to do it for them.
Cool.
And then eventually I was like, writing's not my thing, but I've always been that child who spends too much time in front of the TV. And my dad used to say to me, you need to stop watching other people make money. You spend so much time watching other people make money. But when I went to varsity, there was no TV. So YouTube became my TV.
Yeah.
And I've been obsessed with YouTube for years. So by the time now, I didn't really have a job or anything like that. And I wanted to start a YouTube channel again, because my third one. My parents were like, you know what? Cool.
Do it.
You keep coming back to this thing. Just go for it. Yeah. And I think around that time, maybe 3-4 months, maybe, I can't remember, 3-4 months before I launched the channel, after, I can't really remember, I got my South African ID, but I was so deep in this idea I had of the A1 that I didn't actually go back to my full-time job. And my parents were like, cool, we'll give you a year, let's see what you can do within a year. Yeah, and they really supported me, and within that year I won the Fair Lady Rising Star competition, and they supported me, and it seemed like things were now going. Picking up. Yeah, so. And
those were signifiers of like you're on the right path.
Exactly.
Like there's always those Easter eggs that you can, those little moments where you're just like, oh, maybe this is exactly what I'm supposed to do.
Exactly.
It leads us to what I really want us to talk about today, because not a lot of people can say that, this is something that I'm called to do. Someone in your path could say, this is something that I'm talented in, I'm gifted in it, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna make money for me.
Yeah.
But saying called for is something I can say to you, because I know that you have a relationship with God.
Yeah.
Please touch on that for me, because just hearing about your journey with A1, a lot of the other characters that you've mentioned are mostly your family, but when it comes to the work that you do, we see you. We don't see the people behind the scenes. And it looks like something that you really carry. It looks like something that's really personal to you. So is it something that you're called to do? And please tell me how you got to kind of that mindset and what God had to do with it, if anything.
I think where I was in my life, I was just at a point where I was just so frustrated with life that I was just trying to find something to work on. And sometimes you don't know where God is leading you until you look back. So at that point, no one could tell me that this was going to be anything. Like, YouTube wasn't a thing. Like, no, this wasn't something that I could even think, oh, maybe I'm called to do any of this. The calling that I know I have upon my life always has to do with young people. Always. That I've known for since I was a teenager. I know that for a fact. Anything I do genuinely attracts young people. And I feel like even with my work with church and my faith, I've been a youth leader since I was 16, and every time I try to run away from it, people don't let me run away from it. I try. I really do try. But that is the work that I will always say I'm called for.
Yeah.
And now YouTube allows me to reach and position myself to speak to other young people, whether it's through the screen or really in person. Because I love the fact that I'm not that person who knows you as an influencer and wants to have you on camera to shoot a collab because let's get this content, I'm not about that. I'm that person who is like, how are you doing? Because I know that this world is also like a really crazy world. Do you take time for yourself? Like, what are your goals? Like, the people won't even know that I'm friends with certain people because I'm not actually putting it on social media for the sake of putting it on social media. I'm truly concerned with your life as a young person, because that's where my calling lies. And so anything you find me doing is in line with that. Is in line with that, exactly. I didn't see that on YouTube being something together, honestly, until maybe like last year.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because I think I was just in such a bad space. Like, it's so weird. Like, people have been rejoicing, the achievements of the A1 or my achievements or whatever, but people don't understand that the A1's entire existence of the A1 was in my low point. I'm only getting out of my low point now, and I'm curious as to what this is going to be in as I'm getting out of that phase.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. That's all I know.
That is so interesting because it kind of speaks to what we deem success to be, and what we understand happiness to be. And so when I see you posting travel posts, and when I see you posting like whatever it is that I think is appealing, I'm just like, oh man, like she's making it. Even as either as a young person or as a young creative, like looking up to people who are before me, getting deals, getting partnerships, being on billboards. I think, oh damn, like I need to do something. Like I need to get to that level. And it's interesting now that you're letting us into the fact that what you see is not always what you get.
Every single super huge opportunity had a really big downfall, like a really bad moment that became, having this thing became like a pick me up to keep going. So my first trip, I think my first travel experience as an influencer or whatever was with Mauritius. That whole, like, I was watching the Mauritius vlog. You know how like social media brings up these throwbacks or whatever, and I was just like, wow, it's so crazy watching that video, seeing how great it looks and understanding how I was just so annoyed within that entire process. When I got to go to Berlin, that was what, last year, or I don't even remember, like not too long ago. I was in such a bad space before I had to leave. Like the whole process of even trying to get that in order so I could travel and experience something that I had always wanted to achieve was such a low point that I almost get tired of it. So it's like, does every great thing have to come at such a low point prior? But I think that for me, there were just lessons that I just had to learn. And God was like, I want you to learn these things first before it's all roses. Yeah. Because if I give you all roses without
when
these
a trial
things,
comes, you'll be too, you won't be able to handle it.
No, not at all.
And so what keeps you grounded in those moments? Like what keeps you going?
More than anything is my relationship with my church. Yeah. People don't understand. Like, I hate missing church. Hate it.
You do.
I hate missing church. Like, I will leave Joburg at like 5:55. A flight. To get in Cape Town by 8. Church starts at 9. People know I will leave my suitcase at church. I'm so like, when your church should be your family. So they see me all glammed up, all like stressed out. So I don't really care how I roll up. I could roll up like...
They see all your phases. They know who you are. They love you as you are.
Exactly. My family is not here. My church is my family. And so me going and just seeing people who've known me long before any of this social media life can see and be like, nah, like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? And being always in the presence of God, and just even when I'm so stressed out or so annoyed, and sitting there, and if I'm not in the best headspace, or even if I'm in a good headspace, just sitting there with others, when 2 or 3 gather, there's such power. And so there's a difference between me having my personal time with God, which is vital, and me doing that in the midst of others, and then hearing a word that somehow just always hits, and it always gets,
it's always on time.
It's always on time.
I'm interested in how one gets to form that kind of community. Yeah. Because I also love God, right? I have an interesting relationship with God. Okay. It's honestly, it's the best thing for me. And there are moments in my life where things will be so terrible, and the only thing that I'm 100% sure of is that God is here. Yeah. And I never want to lose that. It's like I never want to lose that, because then I don't have anything, you know? Yeah. But then a secondary kind of thing within that paradigm is relationship, church, fellowship, like people who will remind you of who God is, people who hold up the mirror and remind you who you are, as you said that your church does for you, which is incredible, especially for a person in this industry that you're in, but just as a human being living life. Yeah. You know, it's always, great to have community. It's great to have people who pray with you, pray for you, walk with you through life. However, I'm finding that personally, and maybe someone watching as well, that is a difficult community to build. That's a difficult community to find.
Yeah.
I had that a couple of years ago. Like, I was in this amazing church. Yeah. I was serving in the church. I was using my talents, and they were just multiplying. And I was like, oh my God, this is what I'm doing now. Yeah. Like, this is what I'm going to do in heaven. Like, I know that this is what I'm called to do, you know? And that fell through. And it's been so difficult. And you and I have kind of touched on this offline. It's been so difficult for me to bring myself up and introduce myself into a different kind of community as well, because they're still human beings. They're still people. Like, clashes still happen, or just like vibes don't really connect. So how does one find that? Because I do think that it's necessary, whether you're a Christian or not watching this, right? But it's necessary to have a healthy community of people.
Definitely.
How do you find it when it's just not there?
First thing you need to have in terms of your church is conviction that is your church. Now, conviction that is your church doesn't go from you attending the church. Yeah. It comes from God saying, this is where I have placed you. I've placed you here. I've placed you under this leadership. I've placed you to serve here. This is where I have placed you. Because the church is a hospital. It is a place where the most broken, the sick, the everything. Like, I tell people, I know that a Christian doesn't mean that you've got it together. Yeah. And people need to understand that's the wrong perspective. A Christian means, I know I don't have it together, so I need God. That's what Christianity is. And I need to emulate the only one who's perfect, which is Christ. So the first thing is conviction. Like, you need to know. And no, conviction is that like deep certainty that nothing can shift it. That even when you're annoyed, you still know it. You know, it's like, like I've tried to leave church so many times, and they even know it's not a thing because it is a place where you will get hurt. You will get hurt in church. You how can you not be with other sick people and be surprised if you get some kind of sickness when you're around sick people? But you're trying to get healthy together, and if that's the focus, then you understand and have grace for somebody else, even in their when they show their weakness. I'm very blessed because my family is saved. My parents are saved. My grandparents believe in and those who are still here and those who are not. Believed in God, and so I grew up in a Christian household, which doesn't mean that everything is perfect. Let's be real, right? Yeah.
Sometimes it's quite the contrary. Yeah.
I was that child who so badly wanted to see Christians prosper in their field. Like, I wanted the best TV presenter to be a Christian. I wanted the best soccer player to be a Christian. I wanted people who were living in and doing like just great things to just be the ones who had principles that they upholded, that I upholded too. Like, I love Sarah Jakes when she says, I want people doing it.
Sarah!
Yeah, I love when she says, I want you to kill it for the kingdom and kill it for the culture. That's me. Yes. Like, you should know that this is somebody who is killing the game and they're saved, and it's consistent.
I'm asking you this question because of the direction that this conversation has taken, which is an incredible direction, by the way. But how do you hear from God? Because as Christians, I feel like it's so easy for us to speak, I'm going to speak for myself here. It's so easy for me to speak about God with other Christians because I say things like, oh yeah, and I just get a sense that God is saying, and you know, and the Holy Spirit led me to, and it makes sense. We're all in this language, you know, it's a thing that we understand. How would you say are some of the ways that God actually communicates with you? If a 7-year-old were to ask you, like, you keep saying that, like, you feel like this is what God wants, or this is what God is saying. So apart from things being in His Word, how, like, when it comes to your career, when it comes to some relationships that you pursue, professional and otherwise, when it comes to just like decisions that you make, how would you say that God communicates to you when the right time is and what steps to take and that kind of, let us into that exchange with you and your best friend.
What I find is that God says something to me that I might not know is God. I might think it is, I'm not sure. And then what he does is that he sends confirmations. So a confirmation could be in an Instagram video. It could be in somebody seeing me and be like, hey, have you ever thought of this? Or it could be in church, in a sermon. It could be in so many different areas. But what I've realized is that it's vital, firstly, to hear it first. God speaks to you first and then confirms.
I see.
So that he's helping you gauge that this is of me. And sometimes you might do something because you think it's just an idea.
Yeah.
But then you realize that every time you want to give up, something else comes up to keep going along this path. The Bible says the steps of the righteous are ordered by God. So it doesn't, you might think that you're just doing as you do, but it's God shaping how you go. So for me, I've learned to hear, it's also something that's not a once-off thing. It's a journey. So you find ways that just makes sense for you, where you feel, and because you can look back and see that in that way it was confirmed.
Yeah.
It also depends on your gift. So I feel like I have a gift of knowledge, and there's certain times where I just know that I know that I know. Don't ask me why I know. I can't tell you why I know. I just know.
I just know. Yeah.
So for me, spending time with the word, because when you read a passage and something jumps out at you, that's revelation. When you read this and you're like, wait, what? And you maybe read it in different versions or, in different versions, and you see it in this way, you see it in that way. And just, it's not a scripture that is new to you. It's just, it sounds different.
There's something about it that's it slaps different right now.
It slaps, there you go. It slaps different.
Like, Psalms slaps different.
Exactly. And so it's some people feel like for them it could be when they're in the shower and God just drops something there. Yeah. But it's a journey. Hearing from God is not a once-off thing. It's a journey, and learning how that works for you, because it's very personal. It's the way God talks to me is not the way God talks to somebody else.
Yeah. I remember reading somewhere that I think it was Priscilla Shira actually who was speaking about this. She says it's interesting that we say things like God is not saying anything, or I just keep coming to God and he's just not doing anything, or he's not saying anything. And she was like, I thought about this, and I was like to God, I don't think that that's what's happening here. Because I can't believe that you will die for me but not talk to me. Like, that you will die the most painful death, and then whenever I need you, whenever I call on you, you just be like, no, I'm tired now. Yeah. I did the dying thing. I'm tired now, so I'm not going to, you know what I mean? And God, and I think it's also understanding that God wants to. He wants to hear from you. Yeah. He wants to speak to you. Yeah. He wants to lead you. He wants to guide you. Thank you so much, Moyin, for coming. It's so interesting to me that you said earlier that God is our best friend. He's the creator of the universe. He is the Alpha and the Omega. He is magnificence personified, but he's also your best friend. Yeah. And it's interesting that you say that, because before you came here, I put up a thing on my story of, the set waiting for my guest. And the song that I played was God My Best Friend by Anati. Because I was just like, okay, Lord, whenever 2 or 3 are gathered, and 2 people are about to be gathered, and now whoever's watching here is the third person, and God is here as well. So and that really just like reinforced the timing of this conversation. You are doing incredible work. You are an amazing human being. Thank you so much for coming on here and giving us a piece of you that you are saying that you want to keep, making more and more visible. Because I knew this because I went to church with you, but even before that, I kind of picked up here and there. I was just like, I think she likes God a little. Like, I don't know.
See, I want you to be sure. Yeah. I don't want people to have to find like Easter eggs and like find and put it together and be like, and for me, like, I actually just quickly a random story. Yeah. I struggled with doing entertainment news and being a Christian. I was like, wait, and people were asking me like, isn't it gossip if you like? And I'm sure Christian. And I remember I struggled with that a lot. But then I remember my Pastor Lindy was like, she came, she was telling me, she's like, you know what, I have peace about your channel. And I was like, okay, that was just a random thing. But I was so happy because it gave me some form of peace. And it took me on a journey of, God, how am I doing this that still represents you? And so even in the way we work, even on the A1, it might change a little bit. But we need people who are in every single sphere of life still speaking about God. I should be able to do entertainment news in a godly manner.
Spill the tea in a Christian way.
Spill
the
so
tea,
weird.
but make it Christian.
It sounds so weird. but you know what I realized that my position was actually commentary, because the lowdown, I removed my commentary. It was just telling you what it is. But God's like, no, it's good to have a Christian perspective on even what's going on in entertainment. Yeah. Have a Christian perspective on what's happening in politics, in music, and I think then my mind was like, yeah, because I didn't want it to be separate things. I didn't want you to know me for entertainment, and you know, you might not know me for as being somebody who saves and who's saved. It should be the one. So I really firstly thank you for having me, because I actually really enjoyed this. And I want my faith to be something that isn't things that people wonder. I want them
to be clear.
I want it to be clear.
As you're saying that, I'm also thinking about myself, and I'm just like, I don't think that my Christianity is something that I've been explicit about on my channel as well. I mean, I remember doing a birthday episode, and I was talking about things that I knew for sure, and God was almost on every single point on that list. You know, like what I know for sure is that I am God's and He is mine. Oh, this sounds so romantic. But like I have a unique relationship with God, which is also something that I'm wanting to explore more and more in a creative space. Yeah, and because I think there's talking about it to people like, oh my gosh, guys, like I'm Christian and let me talk about it on my channel. But it's also for you to explore yourself within that realm as a lover of God. So like for me as a comedy writer, I'm very interested in how my love for God is going to filter into that. And you know, so it's not even about the audience knowing. It's actually way more about like, God, you know what? Are you funny?
Exactly.
Do you have a sense of humor?
You know, like, because that's what I was thinking. Like, God, you surely didn't make an entertainment industry for your people to be in it. Like, how does that work? And I think, like, even with my faith, because I didn't want people to feel like I was gonna be all, hey, Jesus, all over the screen, what you mean, make sure you sing.
Today we are reading from.
It was like, no,
the book of
my opinion on things is based on my values, and that is based on the word. And so I shouldn't be afraid to let that be said, and let that be shown. And I think also I love people who can talk about entertainment and talk about the word with passions on both sides, or talk about this and talk about that. I don't like when it's the only face I know of you. Yeah. If you only talk about Jesus. Like, God loves us enough to give us diversity. He himself. Very, like, you know, and I think it's so incredible, and it really, I think, touches people, because I think sometimes it becomes, oh, Jesus, and then if I'm not saved, you are somebody I can't really talk to, because we don't have.
And you've isolated me now.
I'm not interested. But I know I will, like, when I share to rock forth, some guys, I was talking about Kylie Jenner while giving talking about a word. It fits, and I used it as an example, and people were laughing, and we're all laughing because it makes sense. It's not something that's isolated.
Absolutely.
And so I really want to see just, you know, Christians just flourish in their areas and be unashamed about who they are, with humility. With humility. Yeah. Well, I will be the first to say, maybe I'm not even the first, but I will definitely say on this platform that you are killing it for the kingdom and definitely killing it for the culture. And we are behind you 100%. Thank you for gracing this studio, this bed. Is so fun. Subscribe to the A1, you guys, and rock
to Black Wendy. Yes, subscribe to the Black Wendy channel.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. My church has a YouTube channel.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. I'm gonna link all of Moy's contacts, where you can find her Instagram, her Twitter, as well as the A1 and Ruck. Subscribe to the Black Wendy channel if you haven't already done so, and let me know who you want me to be in bed with next.